We're live, and as you know, we may have some technical difficulties, no problems. But, brother, we have a very special guest today, a civil rights advocate.
That we do. We got Gerald Rose. To a lot of people, he needs no introduction, but let me go ahead and introduce him. Gerald Rose is a young man I met years ago. He's the founder of New Order. Uh, there was a vacuum of leadership right around the time he was coming out. A lot of our civil rights leaders passed away. Jose Williams, Reverend Orange, and he kind of stepped into that gap, and he's one of the few carrying on that torch. But let me give this disclosure. There's been times that Mr. Rose has fought for me and times he's fought against me. So,
Mm,
you know, the fact that he's on this show doesn't mean that we agree on everything. He's come down to the jail on issues against me and for me. And of course, we, so hey, that it is what it is.
mm,
That's his job, and we don't see eye to eye on everything, but we've always had a mutual respect for each other, and that will continue until we leave this earth. So, welcome, Gerald Rose.
Thank you
Anything
for
you'd like to
having
say
me,
in
Victor.
introduction? Oh, my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to come on your platform. You've been on my platform before. And thank you again. The thing we're going to discuss tonight is very important. It's all about the Clayton County Jail. And so I'm all ready to speak on the concerns, the safety issues, the living conditions. It's just a lot of issues going on at the Clayton County Jail.
Well, go ahead and get started. I think a lot of people they know I'm the former sheriff, and I think people pretty much know where I stand. If there's anything I could fill in the gap on, I will. Of course, I'll ask questions, but um, I think it was what was it last week that you went and took a tour of the jail?
That is correct. That's not the first time, and I'm quite sure it ain't gonna be the last. When I first met with Mr. Allen, it was maybe about like 2 years ago, and had a meeting with him. We get a lot of complaints about the Clayton County Jail. I went down and met with him, and he gave me a tour. And I noticed that it was very unsanitary. There was a lot of issues inside that jail. I even had a visit to see the bathrooms. There was mold in the showers. There were half of the doors didn't work inside the jail, so that's a very concern. We're talking about a jail. The doors don't work. That's a safety issue as well. And then he was saying it's all about trying to get money and all this and that. And so I kind of listened to him. Then after that, I immediately had a meeting with County Chairman Turner before I went to the city council meeting. I got his side of the view, and he said, "Mr. Rose, we done gave Mr. Allen several money several times, and there's no excuse no more." So I said, "Okay." So I went back to Mr. Allen. And I said, "What's going on here? Because there's a state of emergency inside this jail. The issue must be fixed immediately." So he was complaining about he wasn't getting the money and this and that. And then last week, we received a call, some complaints about the jail. I called him and said, "Hey, I need to meet with you again about the current complaints that we got." So I met with him. He gave me another tour, and it was the same situation. I didn't see no kind of improvement since the last time I was there. So now it's just crazy. And today we officially submitted an application to meet with Governor Kemp to get let him know that what's going on inside the Clayton County Jail. So we're waiting on a physical meeting date to meet with Governor Kemp. So we gave him a chance, and we're going to Governor Kemp saying, "Hey, you must do something about this situation ASAP." We even asking for Governor Kemp to suspend or terminate Levon Allen, from his duties because he's not living up to what he's supposed to be doing as the sheriff of that major county called Clayton County. Because if I had a loved one inside that jail, I'd be very nervous at this point because it's like the people that he's hiring are not doing their job. A lot of correction officers are getting caught on contraband, bringing inside the jail What is really going on out there? So I'm just concerned right now. We're not going to let up. We're going to continue to press on until we see some kind of improvement, or get justice for the inmates, because inmates has rights too.
Let me ask you a question. A question just came up. It said,
Hmm.
um, a viewer asked, when you were at the jail, did the sheriff take accountability for anything that's going on at the jail?
He did not. Basically, he gave us a tour, and he kind of explaining, how the process go. He gave us a tour of the booking situation. It was more like showing us different departments of the jail. He even took us down to the violent inmates where people are was got guilty of murder. He took us down there and he kind of explained, how inmates are being treated. And I was just a little confused. At the same time, I think since he knew that I was coming, that everything was staged. And I'm just being honest with you.
Mm, mm,
No
mm.
doubt, no doubt. Okay, I gotta
Hmm.
ask this question. Uh, I gotta ask this question.
Go ahead.
You toured the jail when I was sheriff.
Correct. I can say, Victor Hill, you really did your job as the sheriff. I can tell you right now, many people say they miss you. I'm not saying that because I'm on your platform. I'm just telling the truth. I have to be honest with the community. And you when you ran the jail, people were scared to go to jail. They didn't want to come inside your jail because you ran it very professional. And I hate what happened to you. I know God, I don't know why it happened, but I just know that people do miss Victor Hill and that sheriff. I even mentioned you yesterday at the meeting, at the commissioner meeting. That we do miss you. It's just the fact, we know that's past tense now. It's just the fact what we're going to do now,
Right.
and follow solving the issues at the jail.
Right. The reason, and I appreciate that, and I thank you. And the reason I asked that question is this. Uh, the reason I asked that question is when
Hmm.
I was a sheriff,
Okay.
I had about $10 or $15 million less than his budget is now,
Right.
and I had less employees than he
Mm.
has now. So they've increased his
Right.
budget. I can't tell you exactly, somewhere between
Right.
10 and $14 million, and I believe he has 50 or more employees than I had.
Wow. Wow.
And that's why I'm asking. I'm not asking
Mm.
because I want to hear I'm a better
Hmm.
sheriff or he's a horrible sheriff, but I want to make a
Right.
point here with this. I think it's important, and I tried to get the video, and it's my fault. But March 18th, there's a county commission meeting, and I think it's important that people listening to this or people investigating this watch that county commission meeting,
Hmm.
because at that county commission meeting, uh, the guy that's the sheriff now came to that meeting, and he asked for a significant amount of money,
Hmm.
and he said some very interesting things in that meeting. He said that he's properly staffed but understaffed or something crazy like that, some
Right. Right.
conjecture. He also said that uh, that the inmates allow the officers to go home safely, which I thought was kind of bizarre. And then he also at one point got angry with the commission and said something to the effect that, well, if we don't get this money, well, then we just won't do this and we won't do this and the inmates will do this and that, which was almost like a threat that we're going to let the inmates live a particular way if we don't get this particular amount of money.
Wow.
Okay. And I want you to watch that for yourself. You go back in the archives, it's March 18th meeting. But what was interesting in that meeting was that the chairwoman was saying things to the effect that, listen, we've gotten reports of unauthorized overtime or overtime fraud. I'd like to see employees in, are they working in the positions that they're supposed to be working in? And it's interesting that she would say that. And let me tell you why. Okay, I know for a fact there's enough positions there to run the jail because there was enough there when I was there.
Right. Right.
But if you hire people in correction officer positions and don't put them in the jail, that's where the shortage comes from. So if you hire your friends, you hire your family, you hire your girlfriends, whatever, and you pay them as correction officers, but you tell them they don't have to work in the jail. They can give massages, or they can play preacher, or they can do this and do that.
Wow.
You're taking staff out of the jail, so the few people who have to work there don't have enough backup, and there's not enough people to adequately man and watch the jail.
Right.
Or if you take people who are in clerk positions and secretary positions and you want to pay them more, instead of taking them up the step grade in the position they already got,
Hmm.
you put them in a correction officer position, but they remain a secretary, they remain a clerk. Well, now you've taken more positions out of the jail, and there's less people there. So it's not that he don't have enough manpower; it's just that he's not putting the manpower where they should be.
I could tell
Right.
you, Victor, before I went and spoke, I had a very conversation with a lieutenant of Clayton County, and he really, what you're telling me, I could tell you telling the truth because what you're telling me, he was saying the same thing, and I forgot that he was a white guy. He was a lieutenant. He's about to retire in about 4 months, but he was real cool. We had a very sit down meeting before because I was waiting before to sign up yesterday, and he was really talking about how Mr. Allen is very that I don't want to be out of line, but they say he lies a lot, and things like that, and he's not truthful, and he just wish again his name, your name came out of his mouth saying we really miss Victor Hill, and things like that. So just want to let you know, I know you're telling the truth because what I'm hearing from you, I hear from the residents, the voters, and things like that. So that's what really counts. It's just the fact. I don't know. I'm very scared of what's going to be the next casualty out there.
You
When you
and me
got a man
both.
get his fingers cut, fingers get cut off, and then you said earlier how, the inmates is running the jail, then you got employees are hired to work inside the jail, but he actually got them outside the jail. That's why you're undermanned. So that's why fights break out. That's why it's not ran well. And if he continue to do that, there's gonna be a major problem. So I hope that once we have this meeting with Governor Kemp, I'm going to explain all that to him because I know he does keep up with the jails, because we have issues in Fulton County Jail as well. So I
Right.
know he's keeping up with what's going on here uh, with his jails, and we're not making this stuff up. So I got everything documented. We're gonna come with facts, not emotions. We're coming with facts. So when you come with facts, you will get justice, and we want to get justice for them inmates. Again, we're not talking about what the inmate got found guilty of. We do understand it's just that they do have rights, and things like that because jail supposed to be a rehab center. At the same time, you're supposed to go in there. Hey, you're supposed to go in there, and I know that it's not a hotel, but you're supposed to go in there and learn a lesson. And hey, I don't want to go back to the jail. It's just the fact that you got people. He got felonies mixed in with misdemeanors. Why are you doing that? And then you got the docks and the locks are not working. That's dangerous.
Right. So you brought up a lot
Basically,
of
I
good.
could walk into you cell right next door to me, and I don't get along with you. I could walk right into your cell next door and do something to you.
Right. So you brought up a lot of good issues. You came up with so many. I now I gotta sort through or whatever like that. But
Right.
okay, but let's go through one issue. The jail is being torn up. So let's jump
Okay.
right into that. Okay. So
All
as
right.
of course you know and the world knows or whatever,
Mhm.
the Clayton County DA
Okay.
took a case against me to the feds to say that I was using a restraint chair improperly.
Correct.
Now I'm going
Right.
somewhere with this. Okay, which
Okay.
that's not true. That's how the chair is used in other jails, and that's how it was used 600 times. But it
Mhm.
was targeted that hey, you use a chair at that particular time, so it's illegal when you use it, but it's not illegal when other people use it that way.
Right. Can I
Right,
just say something right quick, Victor? Not to
right,
cut
right.
you off. The
Okay.
reason why I think you were under attack, you were the first black sheriff of Clayton County. And I just feel that because of being the first black man of Clayton County and how you came in and brought your own staff, it kind of made people upset set. And I said, you know what? From afar, I said, you know what? This man gonna be under attack while he's in office. Every little thing that he does, they gonna be scrutinized. They gonna be complaining about it because he's the first black man of being a sheriff for Clayton County. Because even before you was the sheriff of Clayton County, you remember Sheriff Tuggle?
I remember.
Okay, I've been dealing with Clayton County Jail since 2005, even before you stepped in the office. So I didn't seen it from a distance. And when you came in, I was like, you know what? Because of the color of the skin, this black man coming in, he's going to have a problem. And look what happened.
Okay, and I feel you on that, but let me say this so that people be
Hmm.
aware of the fact the Clayton County DA is black and a
Correct.
Democrat. The
Okay.
guy that plotted with her to do that, that wanted to be sheriff, he's black. His name is Jeff Turner. He was a chairman.
Okay.
Uh,
Right.
the judge that oversaw my case that we found out was Facebook friends with one of the guys running for sheriff, whose husband was friends
Wow.
with Jeff, and who's friends with Tasha, who didn't disclose that she's
Mm.
black. Uh,
Right.
the U.S. prosecutor that pushed this was a man named Ryan Buchanan, and he's black. So, in all
Right.
fairness, this is politics, this is
Right.
lawfare. But in all fairness, this ain't something that we can blame white folks for. These were all black people behind this.
That's
Now,
true.
right. Okay, now, but I want to go somewhere with this that goes
Okay.
beyond my case. Okay, so the jail is getting torn up. One of the rooms that you see in this documentary with Tommy G, where you
Hmm.
see the inmates have dug up the floor and everything else, that's the room where we would put people in the restraint chair. So now that the restraint chair is
Okay.
not being used, they're able to tear up things. A lot of people don't know this, but restraint chair is used for three reasons: for suicidal behavior, aggressive behavior, and destructive behavior. So anytime somebody was tearing up the jail, breaking sprinkler heads, doing
Hmm.
stuff to the toilets or whatever like that, that's destructive behavior. And also, people who usually destroy things, they usually go into aggressive behavior against others and sometimes become suicidal. So those people are put in restraints and then they're sent over to be mentally evaluated. Well, that
Hmm.
stopped all of that stuff. But once that was taken away, the inmates have now started tearing up the jail, up to and including backing up the toilets by stuffing stuff in it. So now you have a biohazard stuff where people are reporting
Mm.
feces on the floor, urine on the floor, stuff like that. Well, let me tell you where I'm going with that. I'm not going with that to relitigate my case. I'm going somewhere
Okay.
else with that. Right after this chair was used politically, first
Hmm.
time in the history of the United States anyone's ever been prosecuted and convicted for using a chair, not physical violence, not doing anything to anyone. So now the chair
Right.
is taken out of the picture because it's used as a way to get at me. The
Okay.
very first man killed in that jail wasn't killed by another inmate. He was killed by other deputies. They didn't
Mm.
mean to kill him, but let me tell you what happened. He was trying to
Okay.
kill himself,
Okay.
and they didn't have, and normally he would have went straight to the restraint chair and then straight on suicide watch. Well, they
Right.
couldn't put him in a restraint chair because based on what the DA Tasha Mosley started with this political prosecution, they quit using the restraint chair. So what do? They hold him down to keep him from jumping off the second tier. Well, they didn't mean to, but they end up suffocating him and he ended up dying.
Okay. I got
a
you.
a federal lawsuit was filed 3 months ago. Now,
Hmm.
with this political plot that the DA pulled off, and lawsuits, and they claiming people in the chair should get $10 or $12 million, which we know is ridiculous. What should this family get? Because they lost a man because of political prosecution. So that's why I'm so adamant about, just like you fight for civil rights in the street,
Right. Right.
um, I'm adamant about fighting lawfare, because lawfare is more than a person who you target or you unjustly convict. The lawfare that the DA did has resulted in not just one man, but seven men being killed, countless being stabbed,
Mm.
uh, two we know of being gang raped in the jail, a biohazard position, all of that because, hey, we got to find a way to put a conviction on him so we can get him out to get another guy in. But this one guy's trying to kill himself. And the one thing that could have kept him safe, kept everybody else safe and alive, is that restraint chair. And once
Mm,
that restraint chair was removed, this man died because those officers didn't have any other options. They actually tried to prosecute these guys,
mm-hmm.
but fortunately, it was dismissed. But now there's this this wrongful death lawsuit. So I want you to think about that. Okay, is Levon Allen uh, incompetent sheriff? Yes, he is. But I can't deny that. And I'm gonna have to take some responsibility with him even being there. Okay, should he be sheriff? You're absolutely right. He shouldn't. But we got to understand how this started. And then we also got to understand that there are some tools that were in place that kept that jail safe. It may
Mm,
not have been a tool that people liked. It may
mm-hmm.
not be a tool that people agreed with, but it was never illegal until they came up with it with me. And as a result, look at the death and destruction that you witnessed going in that jail.
Right.
All because
Let
of
me
a
ask you
restraint
something.
chair.
Oh, okay. I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you something. Is Clayton County the only Metro County jail is not using restraining chairs right now because of the what happened? The other jails you still use it, like Cobb County, Henry County, or
I,
Fulton.
I'm glad you brought that up. There are jails in the metro area that stopped using it because of my prosecution, but there are
Okay.
jails that still use it. I actually got a call from a person that works in a jail in the metro area that still uses a chair, and
Okay.
he was amazed. He said, "Listen, this guy, this ch- chair was used exactly how you used it, and the sheriff actually said, put this guy in the chair." And he
Mm-hmm.
said, we had a conversation afterwards. Well, hey, didn't they indict the sheriff of Clayton County over it? It's not illegal, first of all. It was a very unique prosecution. It's the first time it ever happened anywhere in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But there are places still using it and using it exactly the way I used it. And then there's some places
Okay.
that stop using it at all. And I think there's a person there that talked about Gwinnett County uses some type
Mm-hmm.
of different chair. But there are jails that stop using it that's very close to us, like
Okay.
Fulton. Gwinnett doesn't use a restraint chair, but they started using something else and other ones. But there are other jails. There was a guy I know that was at the jail in Augusta, and he saw the chair used the exact same way that I
Mm-hmm.
used it and was indicted and sent to prison for. So there's still people using
Right.
it, and they use it the exact same way.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. Remember, mine is the
Okay.
first case in the history because it really wasn't about the chair. It was really about trying to find a way to disqualify me from running. But the
Gotcha.
point
Gotcha.
is, bigger than that, the point is, look at the death and the destruction at the jail that you witnessed as a result of that. Um, Here's a question I asked the other day on one of
Mm-hmm.
my posts. Okay, you got all of these folks that came in and said, no, it shouldn't be done this way. But they have yet to tell us how it should be done.
Right.
Because if you're such an expert on how to run a jail, then you should be able to tell the guy who's a sheriff now how to do it, and this shouldn't be happening. So I think the point is, if I was running the jail wrong, which we know I wasn't, but one thing we all know, it worked. No one got
Mhm.
murdered those 15 years. We didn't have stabbings. We didn't have the drugs. The toilets weren't stopped up to where
So
you
you're
got the.
saying during your time in administration, you didn't have none of them kind of issues.
No, no
Wow.
one was murdered. Now, did anyone
Wow.
die? Of course, some people died. We can't stop the Lord from calling people home. There's folks that had heart
Right,
attacks or
right, right.
stroke.
True.
But as far as being murdered, we didn't
Mm.
have a murder. We didn't
And how
have
many terms was you? You how many? You did two terms, correct?
four. It was a total of
Oh, four.
15
Okay.
years
Okay.
until they came up with this. But
Okay.
there were no murders during that 15 years. There were no escapes. What we did have is what they call accidental releases, where people do the wrong paperwork, and we pretty much put an end to that because once I put out that if you accidentally release someone from this jail, we're going to accidentally release you from your job. That came to a stop.
Mm.
And not only did we have a situation where people were being accidentally released, but sometimes there were people not doing their job and guys would stay in jail 5, 10, 20 days longer than they should. Well, we put a stop to that because every
Right.
day this guy stays in jail for you not doing your job, you're going to be suspended. So if a guy stayed 5 extra days in jail, you got suspended 5 extra days. Well, that put an end to all of that craziness too.
Well, it seemed like Victor Hill, when you was the sheriff, you really cared about that jail. I question the guy that's running the jail now because when you say you didn't have no deaths inside when you was running, that mean you was doing something right, you know. But right now, it's that jail like a loose cannon right now, and it's really sad, you know. And unfortunately, something has to be done immediately, not today, not tomorrow, but now, you know, because of what I witnessed, you know, even taking a tour, I felt some kind of way. Just being a visitor inside that jail, you know, the inmates was talking, stopping the sheriff every 5 minutes and this and that, and you know, complaining. Hey, did you? I put in a sick call. No one ever came and acknowledged that. You know, and I was kind of just really listening to what these inmates was talking to the sheriff because they we was like I said, he had us down there in the part of the rough part of the jail, you know, and inmates was stopping him every 5 minutes, you know, and it was just a unique situation, but I could tell. I don't know. He was just telling him anything just to say, "Hey, I talked to the inmate." I don't know if he was being sincere, you know, and questions need to be asked, you know. And I just think he had enough time to prove himself, and things are not getting done under his leadership. Period. But
Right.
you know what? Once before when he first took over, he spoke highly of you. And then when I mentioned his name, you was like, Gerald. You know,
Yeah.
we're not, we don't see eye to eye, but to my understanding, that I don't know that I don't. This is what he told me. You know that he was in when you was incarcerated. You know, he was in contact with you quite often, getting some ideas from you, getting some pointers. Yeah, I don't know if he was just telling me this, but he said he learned a lot from you, you know, when you was even away on your journey, you know. So, but I know that you have a heart. I know again, a lot of people, you know, it's like me as an activist. A lot of people like me. Some people, you know, support me. Everybody's not going to support you. Just the fact, at the end of the day, they got to respect you, and at the end of the day, they have to respect Victor Hill because again, they miss you out there, and I can tell you, you know, it's like a survey. Because when I'm in Clayton County, I go up to a stranger, hey, what you think about the Clayton County Jail, and what's your opinion of what's going on these days? He says, sir, it's terrible. Well, what you think when Victor Hill ran? He says, sir, he didn't play. I didn't want to go to his jail. These days, people go to that jail and like they're not afraid to go to that jail, and then something happens to them. But it's just bad right now. And again, something has to be done immediately. It has to be
Yeah.
changed immediately.
I agree. So let me tell you this: you're on point about a lot of stuff, and I've said this before, but I guess I need to say it on this forum and say it to you because I don't think we've had this conversation. Um, we can't blame everything
True.
on him because we understand how this all started. Okay, but let me say this, and here's why I take responsibility, and here's where the problem comes in. At all
Mhm.
right, I supported him to get into sheriff, and I write about that in my book, and there was a reason why. Okay,
Okay.
when the DA and the former chairman Jeff Turner came up with this plan to get me out, they
Okay.
succeeded with that part of the plan. I did not want to see them succeed with the other part of the plan. Now,
Okay.
it wasn't my idea, but when he approached me with running for sheriff, and it was a real, that's another story for another time. I told him, I said, I don't think that's a good idea. But when I thought about it and the fact that they actually got away with rigging a trial for a conviction, I
Hmm.
said it, and I said it in my book. I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in there and make sure that Jeff Turner doesn't win that seat.
Hmm.
And the citizens went along with me to vote for
It's
him.
true.
I asked the
Right.
citizens to vote for him. Uh, I had no idea this was going to be the outcome. I had no idea that he was going to take the path that he took.
Okay.
Uh, so I have to accept responsibility that I helped him get there. I had no idea. If you would have told me in a million years that he was going to hire people and don't put them in a jail or
Mm.
give secretaries and clerks police cars that drive 24/7. I would have never imagined that in my wildest dream. But I
Right.
did help
Right.
him get there. That was a
Mm-hmm.
mistake. I
Mm-hmm.
have apologized to the citizens of Clayton County, and I owe them a debt to correct that mistake. But
Right.
that's how that happened. Another thing
Right.
that so how the situation started and how he got there was a fluke. Okay, here's another thing, and I have to take responsibility for this. You know, there wasn't much of a choice, and I say that not because there were some people that would have been better, but they didn't live in the county.
Okay.
So there was no way to run them or whatever. So at that late moment when you got this plot going on to for them to take over the sheriff's office, he was kind of the only one that was in place and lived in the county that could do it. There was a couple of folks that was around that they would have done better, and we probably wouldn't be in this mess, but they didn't even live in the county.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we got there, and that's a decision that I regret. I don't think it would have been any better if Jeff Turner had gotten in. He's very weak,
Mm-hmm.
very incompetent. The proof of that when he was what you call it. Uh, but at least I wouldn't feel like I was responsible for him getting there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
so
Right.
so that's the story there. Here's the other thing too. When you say that you think that he should be replaced, well, I can't argue with you on that. Everything rises and falls on leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And what
The
we
question: who
what
do we get replaced by? You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I don't think we have the answer to that yet, but we got to be very
Mm-hmm.
very careful because we see what happens when you just replace anybody. Where you just
True.
say, okay, well we'll use him. But I think probably the greatest lesson I've learned out of this is that leaders aren't you can't create leaders, they're born.
Right.
Um, you know, I think we got to look at it like the NFL does. You know, they don't create Tom Brady's, they go and find them. They got to go to different colleges and high schools.
Right. Right.
The NBA, you know, if they would, they would create one for every team. If you could create a Michael Jordan, they would. You got to go and find them and see if they exist.
Right.
And they
Right.
do exist, they just hard to find. But
Right.
when you think you can take a person and create what that position requires, that has proven to be false. Leaders aren't created, they're born.
Right.
And what Clayton County has to do at this point, and I have to find a way to help them, is we got to find a way to recruit leaders because we can't create one. They got to already have what it takes to do that job, and then we
Right.
can go from there. So
Right.
that's one
Let me
part of the
ask you.
equation, right? But go right ahead.
Mhm. Let me ask you something. Are you? I don't know. Are you eligible to run for sheriff again, or are you not? You cannot do that. Are you eligible to ever try to run for sheriff again?
Not at this moment, but
Okay.
when the case is overturned, once the
Okay.
case is overturned, however that happens, at that point that would be the case. So you know
Okay.
we gotta operate in the now and the situation that we have going on now. But you know,
Okay.
it, it's a very very unique situation. And you know, let me say this again: leaders are born; they're not created.
Right.
And I made the mistake of trying to create leaders, and what I should have been doing is going on a hunt to find them as opposed to try to create them. But it's you know it's a sad situation, and unfortunately,
Very.
people are dying because of it, and more
Very.
people are dying because of it. And you know, and I say that to say this: that's not an indictment really on him. And let me tell you why I say this. Probably the best example I could tell you is the last time I played basketball was with that young man right there, my brother. And I tried to play Spud Webb, and it turned out horrible. And my brother was the first to tell me in front of everybody. He said, "Listen, you might not want to put a basketball in your hand again." And he was right. I wasn't born with that. I don't have it. I'm not going to be the Spud Webb or whatever. It might be the Spud Webb or police work, but it's not going to work on the court. So I never stepped foot on the court again out of respect
Right.
for my brother and everybody that was there. Okay,
Right.
that's not an indictment on me as a person. I just don't have that ability. I need to go find what I'm good at. And so I don't think that's an indictment on him as a person. He
Hmm.
needs to go find something that he would be good at because that's not being the sheriff.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right. Well, I just want to
I see
say
that
that
look on your face, Jerome. I see that look. Go ahead.
It was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was.
because you
I
originally
think
from South Carolina, correct?
I am. I am.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. I have.
Um,
Matter of fact, I have a young lady from South Carolina in Florence, South Carolina. And also I started a chapter in Greenville, South Carolina. Matter of fact, just give you an update, Victor here. I'm in 17 cities right now. I got a
excellent.
chapter in Detroit, Michigan. I got one in New York, Chicago, Ohio, Mobile, Alabama, and we're gradually growing daily. And God is just good, man. And sometime I wanted to give up, but God was like, this is you. My dad got recognized at Morehouse College with Andrew Young. And so you never heard of my dad as a national leader, but the national leaders heard of my dad. My dad and Joseph Laurie was good friends. Cynthia McKinney used to go down there and talk to my dad, Reverend
Wow.
Orange, Jose Williams. So I was born into this. I remember when our house and church was put on fire growing up, what my dad stood for. He said, son, as long as you're there for the community first, you stay in this business. But when you just trying to be seen, trying to be on TV all the time and all that, they're gonna figure you out. This is the wrong business to be in. So it's all about the community first. And that's basically my stance. I'm not perfect, but I can say, do I have some wonderful, dedicated staff members, and they all speak highly of you. You met someone when you came on my TV show, so I just want to continue to do the work, man, and I just thank God He wakes me up every day that I can help people. Got
Well,
stuff to work on. Of course, you're gonna
of
have
course.
people don't like you. My life has been threatened. I remember when I stood up for Michael Vick, and I'm gonna tell you how God worked. When Michael Vick got convicted of dog fighting, I sent Michael Vick a letter every week. I said, you know what? Once you give it to God, your life is gonna change, bro. And look what happened. He ended up signing another $100 million contract. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Philadelphia Eagles, and then he's coaching now. He's out of debt right now, and my vision came true because I went on facts. I seen a black man that needed some help, and I just thank God that I had the chance to be a part of his life changing, and things.
Yeah,
So
you did a
the
great job. I
Sandra
got a
Bland
chance to meet
case,
him. Yeah.
2011. The young lady got killed in Texas. They said she committed suicide, but I think it was some foul play that was involved in that. I flew out to Texas. A young lady sent me out there anonymous, said, Mr. Rose, I need you to go speak on the Sandra Bland case. I said, why? She said, I could have been Sandra Bland, and flew me out there. And I had a press conference in front of that jail where they say she committed suicide. I did not leave that jail until I met with someone. So one thing about me, I ain't gonna just take no for answers. I'm gonna continue until I'm convinced, until God tell me to move.
You know, I'm glad you said all of that. For people who haven't met you or don't know your
I'm a
organization, I hope that this is a good chance for them to look up New Order and the stuff you've done. But now that you said that, I'm I'm getting ready to make an announcement that I was going
oh,
to
what you
save.
about
And
to say?
oh yeah, I'm about to make an announcement. You're not going to believe what I'm about to say. In some ways, I'm getting ready to follow in your footsteps. So as you know, I announced a few months ago that I was running for United States Congress. Well,
Okay.
some interesting things have happened, and I wanted to make sure that the plan was in place and everything before I made this announcement. I'm gonna go ahead and make it now, and I'm real excited about it. You
Okay.
know, I've been the victim of lawfare not once, not twice, but three times. You were around back in 2012 when the same DA's office. I became the first sheriff in the history of the country to be indicted because they said I stole the same police car 5 times, my own police car. And of course, right. And then it was the same people that helped plot it for this case. Well, I've been a
Right.
spokesperson and an advocate for lawfare ever since I've been back. And lawfare is when you use the criminal justice system to you weaponize it in order to target, and it's not just politicians like me, and it's not just celebrities and stuff like this, but it happens to people all of the time where the criminal justice system is used unjustly. Well, the whole time that I've been running for the United States Congress, you notice most of the time that's all I speak about: lawfare, lawfare. You don't really hear me talking
Right.
about SNAP. You don't hear me talking about shutting down the government and all that other stuff.
Right.
Well, a lady that you'll get a chance to meet in the very near future, and some others. Her name is Miss Wallace, and she'll introduce herself, and I'm sure they will after this comes about. But they're starting the American Lawfare Institute, and really, when you think about it, it's like a civil rights organization. They're going to fight lawfare not just locally but nationally, and there's three ways to do that. Of course, one way is legislation, and that's lobbying for legislation that stops corrupt prosecutors and judges from illegally using the system. The other way, of course, is to have a legal team, teams of people that for people who can't afford legal representation to take this fight and get these cases up to the appellate courts, the Supreme Court, or stop them right in their track. When you have rogue prosecutors like Tasha Mosley and other ones we've seen, and rogue judges like the one in my particular case. But last not least,
Hmm.
uh, in addition to that, it'll also be the exposure of the lawfare, and another way to stop it, which will be PACs that can fund campaigns to get these people out of office. When you have rogue prosecutors, you only got every 4 years. So during these
Right.
4 years, you got to deal with legislation that can stop them. You got to deal with legal teams that can stop them in their tracks. But also a chance to just remove these people from leadership, because when they are in leadership, you see what happens. If you look at what happened in Clayton County, it all started with our DA. She was the catalyst that
Right.
started the domino effect of how the jail is or how everything is. Well, I'm not
Right.
going to say I'm going to be the face of that organization,
Okay.
but I'm going to be one of the prominent faces of that organization. They've asked me to join. I'll be speaking. I'll be going around the country. I'll be not just fighting for
Okay.
Clayton County to stop lawfare, but I'll be no doubt all over the country speaking on this issue and putting actual plans in place where we can see it. And that way I can concentrate on this issue like a magnifying glass. As a congressman, there's all type of issues you got to deal with. And some of them are
Right.
just
Right.
outright crazy. But now this will give me a better way to help Clayton County and to stop lawfare on all different matters. So it's an interesting pivot, because I think I can do more and be more effective with the American Lawfare Institute than I can as a congressman, because then I'll have to spread myself on a whole bunch of issues. It's kind of like when I was
Right.
sheriff, I was on one issue, that was crime. And I was like a
Hmm.
magnifying glass. Wherever the crime was, I put all the effort there. I want to
Right.
focus on lawfare, and I want to be at the forefront of fighting lawfare. So just like you fight for civil rights with New Order, I
Hmm.
will be fighting for civil rights as well, but this time I'll
Okay.
be going after a different type of criminal, rogue prosecutors and rogue judges.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm
Well,
excited. I'm excited about that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
congratulations. And we've been knowing each other for a while. I remember when you was facing 35 indictments, and people thought I was crazy because I stood with you day by day. Remember that?
you did.
Yeah,
You did.
I'm still in contact with the attorney that you were using. What's his name?
Steve
Attorney
Fry.
Musa? No,
Yeah,
Musa.
and Musa. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually still in contact with him, and I remember those days, boy. But God made a way, and it was tough, but I was there with you, bro.
You
So
were,
you
and
was
I
more like a
appreciate that.
friend.
I
Yeah.
and I never forgot that you was the only civil rights organization that came and fought that. even though the
Right.
other ones were approached. And again, it was a situation where the criminal justice system was being weaponized. It wasn't until I
Right.
said I was running for sheriff again that suddenly a special purpose grand jury was formed to investigate
Right.
everything I did. And then they say, hey, you know what? He drove the police car to this destination. I
Right.
think that's theft of a motor vehicle. And every time he put gas
Right.
in it, and then they put it under RICO. And we see all
Right.
these weird things with RICO being overused and overcharged, kind of like what you saw with Young Thug.
Right.
Am I saying Young
Right.
Thug is innocent of everything? But he certainly wasn't involved in
Right.
nothing with RICO, where he's
Right.
responsible for 80% of the crime in Atlanta.
Right.
And that's the type of craziness that the American Lawfare Institute is going to fight
Right.
legally through the court system, uh, through the political system, through elections, and legislatively by putting legislation in place that will make it
Right.
hard for rogue prosecutors to just walk in a room and indict anybody without them being able to defend
Right.
themselves,
Right. Right.
or offer or have an attorney present. So in some
Right.
ways we're going to be fighting. Sometimes you and I are going to end up probably at the same case, because anytime the criminal justice system is being weaponized like that,
Right. Right.
the American Lawfare Institute is going to be there. So you and
Right.
I, in some ways, will be walking the same path. It's just my
Right.
concentration is going to be rogue judges and rogue prosecutors.
Right. Well, I remember, Victor, you really looked out for me. You remember back in 2005 when that little baby got killed over income check? Somebody owed somebody some money,
Yes, I do.
and you had the Clayton County sheriffs. We was in that apartment complex, and
Yep.
you had them posted up for security. I
Yes.
really want to thank you on that. And that was the case that really hit home. And as of today, I think about that case. That little baby lost his life because somebody owed somebody some money. But you was like, Gerald, if you ever need something, just let me know. And I don't have that relationship with Mr. Allen. I ain't gonna say he'll never do that, but I can honestly call you and you can help me out. So I really thank you. And again, I know sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but at the same day we both got to respect each other.
Oh, absolutely. And again, again, at the end of the day, this is no longer personal. This is about what's best for
Right.
Clayton County. This is
Right.
not. I
Right.
don't. I don't. I don't think you have anything personal against the guy that's a sheriff now. Um,
Mm-mm.
I'm not gonna sit here and lie and
I
play
just want
holy.
stuff
I'm
to
not. I'm not.
change, man.
Yeah, you just want stuff to change. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and be
Right.
holy a thou and say I don't have anything against him. I probably do, and that's for other reasons. But
Right.
let me say this. This is more about the fact of who can do the job. He's not a
True.
cop. He's not a sheriff. That's not an indictment on him. He may be something, and whatever that is, he needs to find that and do it, because people are dying under his leadership. Seven
Right.
murders, gang
Right.
rapes, whatever like that.
Right.
That's not an indictment on him. That's not the job for him, and I regret that I was a part of him being there. That I don't. But this
Right.
is not personal now. This is strictly about what's better for the county, because
That's true. That's true.
I
All business.
I'm not leaving Clayton County. I'm gonna be here until I die. So I want to know. I want to know there's a sheriff out there that can protect me as well too. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, I
Right.
want.
Right.
Yeah, I don't need my place broken into, and I don't need thugs running the county and running the jail, whatever. Because I'm not
Right.
going to
Right.
leave Clayton County. So this now is about how do we make Clayton County safe again?
Right. Right. And I can honestly say about the good thing about Mr. Allen, he do have an open door policy with me. Anytime I call him, his door is always open. I do give him that, and
Yeah.
I just thank him for that because a lot of people he does not meet with. He will close that. He will refuse to meet with people. But if I make a call, and want to meet with him, I say within 24 hours we'll have a date and time set to meet with him. It's
Yeah.
just the fact that when I do meet with him, I want to see improvement. I want to see changes. I want to see, hey, this is what I did. This is what's going on. But every time I go down there, it's the same old situation.
Yeah, and
You
and I
know.
got to be honest. I mean, we're trying to be civil about it, and he also lying to you too. Cause if he telling you he don't have enough people, that's a lie.
Right, right,
That's
right.
just not true.
And you
There's
ain't the
enough
only one
people.
telling me this either,
Exactly.
Victor. Believe me, you're
Right.
not the only one telling me this.
Right. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is this. Like I said, I want to make sure, because one thing, I'm gonna shoot straight on something.
Right.
This is bigger than whether I like him or he like me or not. People are dying.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Right.
just because it's not me saying this, it's the whole county. It's obvious he can't handle that job. So
Mm.
we don't want to that, but there might be a job he can handle, but it shouldn't be sheriff. Maybe he should be the clerk of court. I don't know. But one thing we know, it shouldn't be
Right.
sheriff. But at the
Right.
same time, I got to shoot straight with you. He may let you in the door, but when you come in the door, he's trying to lie to you and tell you that if he get 10 or 14 million more dollars, everything will be okay. Well, if you can't control the inmates, you can fix the jail. They're just going to tear it right back up because you can't fix the inmate. So, I'm always
Mm.
going to shoot straight on that. I regret helping him get there. He wasn't the
Okay.
right person for the job. That's not personal. Am I going to sit here and
Hmm.
lie and say that he's somebody I care for? No, I really don't. And there's other reasons for that. But
Hmm.
this is bigger than that.
Okay.
7 people are dead, two are gang raped, at
Hmm.
least two. Assaults on officers up 100%, inmate on inmate over 200%. There has to be somebody that can stop that. And there's no indication that he's going to be able to make a 180 in that because that's just, he don't have the ability to do that. And that's just the fact of it.
Right. Um, like I said, again, I hate to take someone's livelihood, but I think he done got had enough chances, and we just gonna see, see what happens when I meet with Governor Kemp, and I just hope that we can convince him that hey, this jail that you the overall boss man is having a lot of problems, and it needs to be fixed, so
Well,
I'm
let's
just
let's
praying.
let's see, because it's interesting. One thing about civil rights, you're a civil rights leader, but one thing is
Mm-hmm.
interesting about prosecutors, especially the one we got in Clayton County, when it's something that they want to press, all of a sudden they'll talk about the Constitution, but yet they're clearly saying the Constitution is being violated at the Clayton County Jail now, which it is. I mean, that I
Very
mean, which it is, right? So is
right.
she gonna push for a prosecution on him like she did on me? Let's see it, because I mean, a
I
constitutional
see what you
violation is a
said.
constitutional violation. I mean, if you're gonna make me the first in the history not to physically harm somebody and say that it was a use of force issue, who
Right.
knows? I mean, you know, let me say this: how he's gonna go, I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
we know we know that he needs to go. More than likely, he's
Mm-hmm.
not going to leave on his own because
Right.
he probably going to be able to find nothing that will afford him what this job affords him. So he's going to hang on to it no matter what. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is at the cost of how many people's lives. There's
Mm.
7 people dead that shouldn't be dead.
Right. Right.
Right. Those guys shouldn't have been. If the amount of people in the jail that should be there was there, that's enough people to watch these people. And if they're being watched, they don't have time to dig up the cement. They don't have time to stuff up the toilet so the feces are back up. They don't have time to gang rape somebody. Where was the officers when this guy was being gang raped? Nobody saw nothing. If there was enough people there, because they're not going to gang rape somebody in front of somebody. And we're
Right.
talking about guys being gang raped to the point to where they got to go get surgery. So just
Mm.
by taking all of these positions out of the jail and giving it to your girlfriends, your groomsmen, your whatever, you
Mm-hmm.
have caused 7 people to die. So
Mm.
even though we don't want to see him unemployed, of course we hope he gets something to support his family. At the same time, how many
Right.
people gonna have to die so he can stay employed?
Right. That's true. That's true. And I hate to do that as well to take anybody livelihood away, but to make things different is to the point now we have to do what we got to do because I'm really feeling sorry for Clayton County residents, the people that live out there, because I hear it all the time. And like I said, I had a spoken to a guy last night, a lieutenant at the council meeting. He's saying everything you're saying, So obviously, we're not the only one recognize that there's a problem there, or what he's doing, where you hire people, but they're not inside the jail working. He got them out on the streets, and that's why he undermanned it, and stuff. So I understand basically where you're coming from. And again, I want to thank you and your brother for giving this opportunity to to talk about what's really going on out there. But I could tell you right now, we're not going to let up, and we're going to continue to put the pressure.
And I want to thank you for having the courage to actually speak out and say something. A lot of people don't have the courage to go and look at the jail and eat with a person and walk out and tell the truth. Because I mean, basically, you went there. Hey, you gave me a tour, whatever. I'm sure he wants you to go out and say, "Hey, this is a good dude. Just give him $14 more million and everything will be okay." But you came out and spoke the truth. Hey, I got nothing against you,
Right,
but obviously, you don't
right,
know what the hell you're doing.
right. Because the first thing I spoke at the Payton County Commission meeting last night, I said, I'm not blaming you all. Y'all did y'all part. Y'all gave this man money several times,
Actually,
but
they
he's
did.
not using it. But he's not using it the right way. So I made that very clear. And it's just the fact that the journey, the movement is going to shift to the governor now.
Hey, I
And I
gotta
hope that
say,
we.
I gotta interrupt you. I gotta give you a little fact on that. So the commission, they did give him money. They did give a
Okay.
bunch of people, but now I need you to know the truth about that. The whole time I was sheriff,
Hmm.
you saw no budget increases when I was there. And actually,
Right.
one time I was sheriff, they actually cut my budget by 2 million. But the
Mm.
jail was still clean. It was still under control. Truth be
Okay.
known, the reason they gave him that money and they gave him those positions is because the chairman at that time thought he was going to be sheriff. He was already plotting to
Oh,
run, so he was increasing the
so he
budget
could
because
step
he
right in it then.
exactly. They didn't really give him
Okay.
the budget because hey, we're trying to help you. We think you need something. Obviously, the
Okay.
jail was running fine without extra millions of dollars or whatever like that. Jeff Turner
Right.
actually
Right.
thought he was going to get the position, so that's why he was being so generous. And of course,
Okay.
that didn't work out.
Right.
And unfortunately, the truth of the matter is he probably didn't get beat fairly and squarely. I mean, he barely
Mm.
lost, and there are a lot of people who have said that most employees weren't working; they were working on the campaign. So if you got 30 people on the street holding your sign and making calls, that's probably how he really beat Turner. I hate to say it,
Okay.
Turner would have probably won. As weak as he is,
Hmm.
he probably would have won if he wasn't using those employees on the street. Well, guess what? While you're using those employees on the street when they should be working, how many people
Okay.
got stabbed or hurt at that jail?
Right. 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 And that's an ongoing problem. I mean,
Exactly.
ongoing problem. I hate to repeat myself, but I don't know what's worse, that or Fulton. Fulton County got a lot of issues as well. It's just the fact I think Clayton has them beat right now. What I'm seeing.
I never thought the day would come, but I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you would have ever told me the Clayton County jail would be worse than Fulton County, I would have thought you was pulling a joke on me.
Yeah. At
Hey,
least I
man.
could get it. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. No, what are you about to say? You said at least you could do what?
At least I could go visit Clayton County. For some reason, the Fulton County Sheriff, what's his name, LeBlack.
A block. Yeah.
He gives me problems.
He's like, hey,
He do
don't be
not
too,
want to meet with me.
don't be too hard on him.
Maybe you need to call
That's
him,
his,
let him know something.
that's his twin right there. Don't he favor him?
Yeah, yeah, he do look like her, your
He
brother do.
does.
Yeah, he do
One
look
time we
like
was at a conference in Florida, and hey,
her.
your brother looked just like LeBron, and they
He do
actually
look
met
like him a
each other.
little
Yeah,
bit.
they look alike. They do. That was
Hmm.
always a joke there, right? But
Right.
but uh, but anyway, thanks for coming on the show.
No
Thank
problem.
thank you for your courage.
Okay.
Even when you was out there against me, I forgive you.
Nah.
I still
I'm
think
just doing my job.
I know you are, man.
I'm
I'm
just
messing
doing
with
my
you. I still
job.
think I was right though. But anyway,
Nah.
with that, but anyway, we hope to have you on the show again.
Okay.
Much success to New Order. You're the future now. You know all about legends like
Oh
Jose
my God.
Williams and Reverend Orange and all those guys. And I guess we can count Alley Pat. Uh, they're gone now. You and I
Right,
probably gonna
right.
end up arguing like Alley Pat and Jose when we get old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? but anyway, but
Right,
anyway, it's good that someone is carrying the torch because somebody has to feel that. That's whether we agree or not. That's a very vital
right.
role to play. Every
Hmm.
city needs somebody that's going to advocate on
Right.
that behalf. And
Okay.
I look forward to us crossing paths once Miss Wallace and all of them and the American Lawfare Institute is done. I'm sure there's going to be some issues out there that you and I can join forces on. I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay, and I really thank, of course, Jerome and yourself for giving this platform to get to your listeners and viewers. And I need to get you back on my show as well as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep up the good work, young man.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Good
All
luck,
right. You
Gerald.
got it. All
All
right.
right, thank you, sir. Thank you
And I'll
again,
be it for
Jerome.
today's show. And thank you so much. Thanks for Gerald for coming in. And certainly, my brother, we'll go ahead and talk soon.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Stay
Take
on
care,
for a
bro.
second.
All right.